All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Hajime no Ippo, Season 3, Episode 1.
We have come so far in this show.
So far.
And so is Ippo.
Yeah,
Except,
it's been a journey.
Right, but now, in order to face Miyata, he's going to have to really dig deep and get good, or get better, because Miyata's left him in the dust.
And not only has Miyata left him in the dust, Miyata's style is one that hard counters Ippo's style, which is already incongruent with typical boxing, but because of Ippo's ridiculous back strength and upper body strength in general, he's able to get in there really close and dirty and just deliver some painful punches. But it's not just going to be Miyata that he's up against.
No.
You know, as he goes into just this
beyond
arena, beyond
the national stage.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to have to deal with people that will eat him apart, eat him for lunch, basically. So, eat him apart, tear
him apart. You know, they'll do both. It'll be a combination, both at the same time. Yeah.
So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. All right, we're back.
We are back.
Ippo, and we went into backstory territory.
Right.
That was a gut punch. That was a body blow to the feels.
And
jeez,
I figured it must be something like that, right? Because they, you know, the way they talked about Ippo's dad before, it wasn't in a negative sense, right? So it's not like he just left them, you know. But then it's like, okay, where is he? Probably dead.
Yeah, I think I always assumed he was dead in some ways, but
man, seeing it and seeing like how Ippo was needing to come to grips with it and everything, and then he ends up getting the hat, and the mom is just like, because Ippo's mom has always been really tough, right? So seeing her in this new light where
she wasn't always that tough.
She wasn't always that tough, right?
Ippo
She's that tough now
one.
because she had to become tough, right?
And in some weird ways, Ippo was a tough one because of his stark, like denial of the situation, that he was basically, you know, resisting the idea of his father not coming back. And I want to correct myself. I didn't always assume that his father was dead, but after a certain point, it became like, oh, he's not showing up at all in the story.
Right, like even when
probably passed away.
Like even when Ippo's mom got sick, it's like, okay, this is very much a thing of like they only have each other, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's good to show sort of what Ippo's role model for being strong and everything was before Takamura and everybody. Because, you know, where Ippo is right now versus where he was at the beginning of the show, completely different people.
Totally.
Like, absolutely
100%.
180 degree. He's a different person now, right? So where did that first person that we saw come from? You know, and we got to see that here, and it makes a lot of sense how, you know, he was so determined to help his mom, you know, like because just working, you know, as a fisherman and stuff, and lifting heavy boxes and stuff, that I'm sure would make him strong, but like Ippo's strength is pretty next level. So knowing that there was a catalyzing event like this that basically made him be like, okay, I gotta help my mom, I gotta, you know, take care of my mom, and, you know, all of that, like, I got to be as strong as my dad.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy to think about that he became as strong as his dad and yet didn't have the person in which he was actually confident enough to stand up for himself. So when he ends up getting bullied and stuff, he has the strength of a freaking fisherman. But I think personally, just because of the fact that he focused so much on being a good boy. Remember what his mom said? Your dad won't come back unless you're good.
Yeah,
I thought about that for
a
little bit more than like 20 seconds, you know, being the thing. And I was like, haha, that's a cute way to parent your kid. Right. And then I thought about it, I'm like, oh shit. Wait.
His dad doesn't come back.
His dad never came back. So Ippo just focused his whole life, basically. I mean, this is extrapolation to the utmost degree. But you could say that it does
kind of make sense.
It makes a lot of sense that he basically has been constantly believing just a little bit that his dad could come back. And thus he tries to be the goodest boy possible, doing nothing wrong, not utilizing his strength in any way, because maybe even if we're extrapolating even more, it was his dad's utilization of strength that he found out that ended up leading to him dying.
Yeah,
because Sakuma wouldn't have been saved.
Right.
If Ippo's dad wasn't strong. He would have realized his limits and probably just jumped into the boat.
And maybe another way of saying it, or another perspective on it, I don't know how Ippo would have taken it, but his dad's strength wasn't the fact that he was physically strong.
I mean,
right?
it was
like,
partially.
That was partially it. Like
he's a freak of nature.
Yeah, the fact that he was able to lift that giant box on the incline during a storm, slick deck, that's ridiculous, right? That is actually ridiculous. It's practically superhuman. Yeah. But he was also the kind of person that when everyone was saying, we need to go, no, there's someone that hasn't gotten out yet, right? And that makes that feels similar to Ippo doing the thing of always bowing, you know? Like on all four sides of the ring, you know, after his matches. I'm not sure if he still does that all the time, you know, but the fact that was something that he did at the start, like that feels similar, because even as he is right now, Ippo is ridiculously strong, right? Maybe his straight deadlifting might not be as good as his dad's was, right? But
he's still a young man.
Right. He's still a young man, but like
he could get bigger, you know.
Sure, yeah, right. He's keeping himself in that mobile, agile, hostile kind of shape.
Right. Yeah.
But he's the champion of Japan for his weight category of boxing.
Yeah, he's
strong. If you wanted to go for like regular old strength, that's
pretty high up.
That's pretty high up there.
Yep.
Yep.
So he's already kind of done it then in that regard.
Right. Yeah. But then there's this the idea of it, right? That keeps pushing him forward because with Ippo in the past, boxing became something that he fell in love with, so it makes sense that he would want to pursue it as passionately as he does, right?
Right. Yeah.
But usually it would tie itself to, like, not just to boxing, but then to a specific rival that he wanted to face, right? Miyata, Sendo, like...
there's a long gap. There's a long gap of time between Miyata and Sendo.
Yes.
I think what it also was that he found, like, some kind of companionship within the people that he was spending time with learning how to box. And then it just felt good, having that strength and confidence that
became a self-sustaining thing.
Yeah, like I feel like the story of Ippo is one that wouldn't have needed to go into his backstory in order to explain his motivations, because I don't think the dad motivations bleed through as much as I'm trying to force them to.
Right. The show went this far, the story went this far without us getting the backstory. It could have not done that, and while we might have always wondered what happened to Ippo's dad, it would have been okay. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's some cool things we can extrapolate out of it. But it does feel like there was a cool twist of fate, or a cruel twist of fate, in that if Sakuma didn't maybe need to be saved, his father wouldn't have tried to save him and not have died. And then if Ippo hadn't have had to lose his father, then he wouldn't have felt the need to go help out on the boat specifically, because that might not have been his passion specifically, and then he wouldn't have gotten the back muscles and the strength to
and even if he had, right, even if he had been like, you know what, I want to be like my dad, I want to be a fisherman, like I want to be as strong as he is, right? Could totally have happened. But I
don't think he would have been bullied then.
Well, either he wouldn't have been bullied, or I think he would have found another way to deal with the bullying, because at the start of Right, his dad, exactly. Yeah. Because at the start of the show, there was very much a hole in Ippo where there was a need for something to fill it, for him to sort of truly find that strong side of himself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
And he found that through boxing. He found that through Takamura. Not just the fact that Takamura was strong, but that, you know, he had the restraint, right? You know, he was able to dance through all the you know, blows of Umezawa and, you know, and his other friends.
Yeah.
And he didn't have to actually throw a punch, right?
He was the first man in his life in a long time.
Yep.
And I really don't say that as to say that the fishermen weren't, like, you know, men in his life. But I 100% believe that Ippo would put his guard up a lot more with the fishermen, given their past connection with his dad, than he would with a complete stranger.
Right.
And given
especially one as just with the overwhelming amount of machismo as Takamura.
Totally. I just wanted to bring up the whole idea of Ippo not having a man in his life, basically, to be a mentor figure to him, because this is the part that's tricky. The fishermen specifically feel all this guilt, probably, specifically Sakuma, because when he looks at the kid, he realizes this guy doesn't have a father because of me.
Yep.
And that sucks. That is so painful. I can't imagine what he'd be going through. But there's the aspect of where, because of there being this probable, like, awkwardness and stuff, Ippo didn't tell these guys about him getting bullied.
Sure.
And I swear to you, one of the fastest ways you can get to have a young boy tell others that he's being bullied is to put an older man in his life that basically has no interest in, like ego or any kind of other stuff like that, or just loves the young man, the young boy, basically. Because I don't know what it is about, like, the feeling of emasculation or whatever it would be there, but I assume part of the reason why Ippo didn't tell his mother about being bullied as a kid was because he didn't want to burden her, for one.
Didn't want her to worry.
Didn't want her to worry. Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm fine.
Right, but I think it's also because she was his mom, specifically.
Oh,
I think if it had been flipped around and his mom would have passed away in the whole thing there, the problems of what Ippo would have gone through would have been different.
Yes.
But he would have gone through similar problems. It just might not have manifested in him getting bullied. If anything, you could maybe say Ippo would have maybe become less of a good boy, and, you know, he might not have had this, sweet demeanor.
Yeah, because his mom's, you know, the sort of the biggest thing that she taught him, whether she wanted it to be this or not, was probably that if be a good boy and maybe dad will come home. Right?
Oh, that line.
Not at all what she intended,
no.
Right? But you know, she just happened to say that, which, you know, could have been totally innocuous on another day while his dad was gone and didn't end up coming back.
Yeah,
so
because we didn't see in the backstory any moment where he accepted that dad was never coming back. It was only until the hat was found,
right, that he was like, okay,
dad's home.
Dad's home. I was able to get my closure on this because
but that's not closure.
You're right. It's a form of it because, okay, he kept his promise.
Yeah.
You know.
But that's not your dad, Ippo. That's not your dad. That's not him.
Yeah.
He didn't come back.
I'm curious if the hat is something that we've seen throughout the show. And
I think we have.
I feel like we probably have.
I feel like we have.
And it just wasn't necessarily something that had a bunch of focus, or it stopped getting focus after, like, Ippo started boxing, because you're not going to wear a fisherman's hat, you know, while working at a gym.
Well, the mom wore it.
Oh.
That's who I think was wearing it for the most part.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I'll have to go back and check a couple things, because I know that she wore it at times, but it might have been her own hat for all I know.
Sure.
I just remember her wearing a hat very similar to that one at the time.
With this fight that we have here.
Yeah, so let's jump to the boxing.
Cyanosis, I believe, is the thing that he mentioned, and we looked it up, and basically it's discoloration of the skin, specifically, you know, like sort of blue, you know, purple, because of a lack of oxygen.
Right. So it is something that is not determined as of yet whether or not this is because of poor delivery of the oxygen or his inability to breathe, therefore bringing in more oxygen.
Right. Like, this is something that this guy clearly strategically brought about, but we don't know all of the contributing factors for it. We know that he turtled for a long time, so Ippo was probably getting fairly exhausted, and if the guy's punches were strong enough that he felt like he couldn't leave any opening at all, he had to make sure that he never actually was able to throw a punch. And Ippo's also doing a boxing style that's a bit different, because this person actually is, shorter, stockier, can
take a huge amount of punishment.
So he has to do that more outboxing sort of style that he's not used to. I could see that being something where his breathing doesn't match up with it quite right, you know?
Yeah. Like outboxing was something he completely gave up on eventually. That was just something he did for the very beginning of the match, though.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. What it ended up becoming was that Ippo started throwing punches that weren't quick ones for the purpose of setting up a rhythm, though. Therefore, he ended up getting punched at that crucial moment where he broke. God, I forgot his name already, but Shimeo Bokura or something like that.
Right.
When he broke his guard, he wound up to do a stronger punch, and then that gave the other guy time to just throw a straight in there and completely caught Ippo off guard. So the big ones I think that could be contributing to this are the fact that, like you said, he's wearing Ippo out in some way, potentially. But he's also hit him in body blow points, I think, in the same place multiple times.
Right. The thing that, like, it might be something where it's a different style and how it's adapted, like, from the manga and stuff like that, because, we skipped a lot of rounds, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't seem like he was throwing too many punches. Like, he did get the couple, like, body blows that were really solid.
Yeah,
right?
hence why I think those are key.
Right, and I'm guessing they probably have to be, because those are the only real punches he seemed to land on Ippo,
He hit a couple in the face.
Oh, okay.
Couple in the face, but that's
Gotcha.
what I don't consider face shots to be
like Ippo's taken a lot of punishment before, so like
right. But also face shots shouldn't correlate to anything with regards to oxygen
breathing
deprivation.
Right. Yeah.
It would have to be something that hits the lungs and or something that is close to the lungs.
Right. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So if anything. Remember how Date had his punches that would, stun someone?
Right, by specifically
pressure point targeting that
the heart.
Specific point, like right here where the heart is, but also kind of near the sternum. Like, that's the kind of stuff we might be dealing with here.
Right, and one of the things that, because this guy, like, I mean, just look at him. The fact that he's somehow in featherweight, that's ridiculous. That's actually ridiculous. Like, yes, this guy is under 126 pounds.
Hey! If he's shorter than Ippo by like 3 or 4 inches, I could believe it. Actually,
I could see that, and I like okay, the aesthetic of this guy.
Imagine if he's like basically the equivalent of like 7 pounds more of muscle than bone.
Oh yeah, I mean, like if he's
that's a lot.
Like imagine if he's like just a straight up like 5 feet tall. Right. Yeah, you can get. Like, whenever I would be at the gym, it wouldn't be like the tall guys that would be like really muscly. Like they'd have more of like the sort of like not symmetrical, but sort of like balanced musculature, even when they were in like, really good shape.
Hollywood like gym workout,
sort of Greek god kind of a thing, right? Whereas then you'd have the person that's like 5'4" and they look like a tank. Like
their back looks like they're like it's gonna eat them or something.
Right, exactly.
It rolls up behind them,
like so with this guy, I love that Ippo is needing to face an opponent that of course he wouldn't have had to have faced an opponent, like this before. The closest probably would have been Sendo as far as like being able to trade power for power. But, even then, like he hasn't had this issue where he actually can do the whole turtling thing and get up close and whatnot better than Ippo can, because I mean, Ippo's physique is
it's crazy.
It's not on the bell curve, It's a bit of an outlier.
I forgot something.
What?
He said, his feet have started to like slow or something. They're already getting like muddled in the deep or something like that.
Yeah.
What if this is something about where he's tricked Ippo into punching a certain way? because one of the things that they focused on in the beginning of the episode was what makes a really strong infighter is that even though they're not able to wind up properly,
they can
hips still use their hips properly and then end up driving a lot of strength in their punches. What if Ippo is exacerbating his upper body strength because he's stopped, like you were saying, he feels pressured to punch too much, so he's throwing weak upper body punches, which tire him out way more because he's not utilizing his full body. He's not utilizing his core and his thighs and hips as much to drive in big, strong hits. And then thus, basically he overworks himself without even realizing it because,
I could definitely see that happening
really quickly.
And even if it wasn't something where it was like, even if Ippo, say, was using his hips properly, right? I could see it being something where that's actually where this strategy came from. It wasn't about landing the body blows. Maybe get, a few of those on because they certainly won't hurt, right?
Sure.
They'll hurt Ippo, but, can't hurt your chances in taking him out.
Right.
But by getting way closer than Ippo is usually comfortable with, usually ever has to, and by pressuring him to keep it like that, then it's something where Ippo's punches, like, because he's needing to utilize his full body for each punch just to get them to have any strength or something like that, it's more exhausting, right?
That definitely makes sense.
Like, it's just more exhausting, and then you do that over a long period of time, and, there you go. And this guy specifically was shown training his lungs because apparently he was able to stay underwater for 13 minutes. Like, how do you do that? That's what? Like,
okay, so I have two stories to share here.
Okay.
One is a small Scottish rugby player who's like 5'2", and his quads, man.
Yeah.
His quads, like bigger than your head, is round.
That actually concerns me.
He was a monstrous guy with regards to his size and stuff, despite the fact that he was
very short.
Really short. So there was that, and that was just one of those moments of, oh, right, there are lots of different muscular body types,
Right.
But also, there are people out there that are not in the crazy athletic side of things. Just people that are familiar with water. 5 minutes underwater.
Yeah,
they just casually just do it.
Right, and this is something where even if it is in anime, we're talking about competing at the world level, so it would make sense that it would be some of those outliers of what humans are capable of doing, right? So, because 13 minutes, that is ridiculously long, but I wouldn't be totally surprised if I heard that there were humans that could do that, because I know there are.
The world record is actually quite a bit larger.
Okay, gotcha. Because I know there are.
I can actually look it up real quick.
I know there are cultures that would survive for hundreds of years entirely on the water, and just fishing themselves with spears or whatever. That was just what they would
24 minutes for the men.
24 minutes. Holy shit.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say 13 minutes actually doesn't feel like it's close to the world record.
Wow. Okay. All right. I will. That's
Now that is something that was probably smaller at the time of the show coming out, because human beings learn off of each other and get stronger and stronger.
Right. And for world record stuff, it's something where they're specifically training just to hold their breath the longest, not to have holistic, healthy lungs that also lets them hold their breath for very long.
But when the number is a little bit over half of that, you then go, okay, that's actually that's just a really strong athlete.
Yeah,
there.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So,
and then also we got a little bit of connection between the two of them in that he is kind of a fisherman, kind of stand-in, kind of look. For Ippo's dad.
His face does look a little bit like Ippo's dad. Maybe it's just the stubble. I'm not sure. But yeah. And
they were trying to make that connection a little bit.
Yeah. And the whole fisherman aesthetic and pulling you into the depths as an aesthetic, it works really well with the cyanosis. I will literally turn you blue in the face because of lack of oxygen.
Right. Really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. I want to see Ippo go the distance, though, even more. I don't want this then to be a thing of, all right, you have 2 rounds left. You have to beat me in 2 rounds with weakened, energy and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe this is a way for Ippo to realize that there is a whole new ceiling with regards to stamina.
Sure.
You know, that like he can just, if he figures out how to properly train himself, he can really turn himself into that indestructible boxer.
Right. And then have that conversation maybe even with the boxer afterwards where they're like,
Sure.
We're actually kindred spirits, my friend. Do you want to go out in a boat sometime?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Dude,
like I don't use boats.
No, I mean, he had all those buddies and stuff that were like, we're going to go party on the island and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, Ippo's going to win this fight just personally because
they're not going to have the first fight
of the third season. You know, so there's a little meta kind of gaming within that. But I do think it's important for Ippo to maybe overcome the idea of surviving a storm, you know, surviving being underwater and you know, there's also some meta kind of character stuff they could do with Ippo here, where, you know, if he gets to that any port in a storm kind of place and he's like clinching against this guy, like barely trying to survive and stuff, it could bring up a lot of those fears that he has.
Yeah.
Regarding things like what happened with his dad. And then it makes a lot of sense why the backstory was brought up around this time.
And it could especially work if, now I don't think Ippo's gonna move away from the Dempsey Roll, but if they did want it to be something where someone actually does destroy the Dempsey Roll, they show Ippo that, hey, there are ways to beat this, and I'm going to crush it, right?
Sure.
Maybe it's something where Ippo still manages to edge out a win, right?
But not with the Dempsey Roll.
But not with the Dempsey Roll. And then he has to, like while he's in the storm, right, while he's floundering, he has to come up with some new way of fighting sort of in the moment or something so that he can actually survive.
Yeah. I think we might have just figured out how he beat the Dempsey Roll as well. It's not that he would ever confront the Dempsey Roll.
Oh, he just makes it so you can't breathe properly. You can't move that fast and everything. And
you can't set it up anymore.
Yeah,
like there's no way that you will have the necessary energy to set it up properly. So therefore, I'm just fighting you at your regular self with no crazy moves.
Right.
Although it was a cool callback while him throwing a gazelle punch, though.
Yes, that was awesome.
Because it reminded me of the old school days of when Ippo would get low like that and leap in and do an uppercut and just end a fight in like the second round or something. And you'd just be like, what? Ippo, you're so strong. It's like, this guy, he does exactly that.
Right.
And you barely dodged that uppercut, Ippo, and everyone in the crowd was like, yo, like, don't get hit by that. That was, sorry, microphone. It's like, that is nuts.
Well, and
do not get hit by it.
And that was another great just representation of the fact that Ippo's never fought a true Ippo, like, you know, like Sendo was the closest, right?
Sendo was...
So in this situation where Ippo is actually bigger than this guy, this guy goes, so he's practically on the mat, and then just comes up with a gazelle punch, and you can bet your ass that would destroy pretty much anybody. Like, you know, his gazelle punch might not be as much vertical distance as it would, you know, be for most people because he's a lot shorter, but I mean, the amount of force he'd be exerting there, that's like...
Yeah, that'd be something else.
Oh, man.
But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general. And you can also talk with, wait, hold on. No, we're shouting out the Twitch channel now. That's right.
We do a Twitch channel Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. Monday is podcast. Tuesday is One Piece manga readings. Wednesday and Friday, Caleb does gaming, which
I'm playing Hades right now.
He's playing Hades. On Thursday, I do gaming, which right now is Persona 4 Golden. Link, it's in the description. Go check it out. It's awesome.
Yes, if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.